Few years ago, I moved from the US to Canada for a new job. I didn't know anyone there. No family. No friends. Just my apartment and work. About 2 months after I moved in, something strange started happening. Every night, at exactly 2 a.m., someone knocked on my bedroom window. 3 slow knocks. Knock. 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 The first night, I convinced myself it was just a tree branch. The second night, I figured it was probably an animal. But by the third night, I couldn't sleep anymore. I started showing up late to work. I even called in sick because I hadn't slept all night. I thought about calling the police. But I had just moved to a new country. I didn't know anyone, and I kept thinking, what if it's nothing? I'll just embarrass myself. On the fourth night, I decided I was done hiding. I turned off every light in my apartment and stood next to my bedroom window. My heart was racing. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Almost an hour went by. I actually started falling asleep while standing there. Then, knock. 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 I nearly jumped out of my skin. I took a deep breath, pulled the curtain open, and threw the window up. Standing there was my best friend. He stared at me for a few seconds, then burst out laughing. So, do you finally admit I scared you? At first, I had no idea what he was talking about. Then I remembered. 6 years earlier, back in the US, we had made a stupid bet. I laughed and told him, "You'll never be able to scare me." He smiled and replied, "One day, I'll prove you wrong." I completely forgot about that conversation. He didn't. When I told him I was moving to Canada, he remembered the city. A few months later, he moved there too. Then he spent 4 nights knocking on my window, just to win a 6-year-old bet. Before he left, he reached into his wallet, pulled out an old, worn $20 bill, smiled, and said, "You still owe me this." I couldn't believe he'd kept it for 6 years. I paid him. But I never spoke to him again. Aita?
My father remarried when I, 25F, was 14. His wife, Mary, 49F, and her daughter, Kyla, 26F. Made my life a living hell. My father is wealthy, so we attended an expensive private school. Kyla constantly bullied me, and things got so bad that I eventually had to transfer schools because I couldn't take it anymore. One time, she convinced my father and Mary that I was pregnant. It was humiliating because I was still a virgin, yet they still made me take a pregnancy test. When it came back negative, Kyla told people at school that I had actually gotten an abortion. The bullying never stopped. She did everything she could to make my life miserable. She even paid a guy at school to spread a rumor that I had given him a blowjob during class. After I transferred schools, she told everyone at my old school that I had been caught stealing at the mall and was sent to a juvenile detention center. My parents share custody, so I spent 1 week with my father and 1 week with my mom. After 2 years of this, I told my father I wasn't staying at his house anymore. From then on, I only saw him 2 weekends a month. During college, our relationship barely existed. He would send me money and call about once a month, and that was it. In 5 years, I only visited his house once or twice. I started dating my fiancé, Louis, 26M, 4 years ago, but I didn't introduce him to my father until we'd been together for over 2 years. We're getting married this spring on a beach, in another country in Europe. Since both of our families are financially comfortable, we decided to pay for everyone's hotel stay, while guests only have to cover their flights. Because of that, we're keeping the wedding small, with around 80 guests. Kyla is not one of them. My father knew from the beginning that I wasn't inviting her, but 3 months into planning, he suddenly demanded that I include her. I told him I wasn't going to invite someone I don't have a single good memory with to one of the biggest days of my life. We've been arguing ever since. Last week, he told me not to expect any financial help if Kyla wasn't invited. My mom immediately replied, "Fine, I'll pay for everything." Then my father said he wouldn't come to the wedding without Kyla. I simply answered, "Fine." Now my grandma and aunt are trying to convince me to invite Kyla for the sake of the family. But honestly, I'm not even sure we're a family anymore. Am I the asshole for refusing to invite the person who bullied me for years to my wedding?
My dad passed away when I was 21. A few days after the funeral, I started cleaning out the house. In the basement, there was an old steel safe that had been there for as long as I could remember. When we were kids, Dad never let us go near it. Whenever we asked what was inside, he'd just smile and say, "You'll understand when you're older." We never found the key. While cleaning, I came across an old phone. The strange part was, it still had battery. There was only one contact saved. Its name was, "If you find this, call." Curiosity got the better of me, so I called. The phone rang once. A man answered and asked, "Is Richard gone?" Richard was my dad. I quietly said, "Yes." He was silent for a few seconds. Then he said, "Meet me tomorrow. Your father wanted me to give you something." The next day, we met at a small cafe. He handed me a sealed envelope. "I've had this for years," he said. "I never opened it. Your dad told me to give it to you after he was gone." Inside was a short letter. "My son, it's time to open the safe." There was also a small key. I rushed home and finally opened the safe. Inside were only old family photos, my childhood drawings, birthday cards, and a few letters my dad had written to me. I just stood there. Then I got angry. Was this really all he was protecting? I was about to close the safe when I noticed a small black USB drive hidden underneath everything. I plugged it into my computer. There was only one text file. Inside were 24 random English words. None of it made any sense. The next day, I showed it to a friend. The moment he saw it, his face went completely pale. He looked at me and asked, "Has anyone else seen this?" I said, "No." He took a deep breath and said, "This is a Bitcoin wallet recovery phrase." Years ago, my dad had quietly bought Bitcoin and never told anyone. When we recovered the wallet, it contained about $180,000 worth of Bitcoin. Now I don't know what to do. Should I give some of it to the friend who kept my dad's secret all these years? Or should I tell my siblings and let all of us decide together? Ita?
My mother-in-law has a toxic prejudice against single mothers. I was a single mom of 2 when I married her son, and I've never forgotten the awful things she used to say. Now, history is repeating itself. My sister-in-law is pregnant and has decided to be a single parent. She cut off the birth father completely because he was highly abusive. I 100% support her decision until the day I die. But after hearing my mother-in-law's brutal negativity, she is now terrified. She's second-guessing herself and wondering if she made the wrong choice. I'm trying to give her some encouragement to read. I want to show her that a peaceful, single-parent home is infinitely better than raising a child in a toxic, abusive environment. To all the single parents out there, what are the biggest ups and downs she should look forward to? Did you ever regret your choice?
I was about 9. A kid around 10 I'd started to hang out with not long before, from the poor part of my neighborhood, was often asking to borrow my bike. He didn't own one, for increasingly longer periods of time. First it was like 10 minutes, then 20, then half an hour. His friends, also from the poor part of the neighborhood, who I had also started to hang out with, told me I shouldn't let him do that so much because he was clearly abusing my trust. I then became wary of his behavior and tried not to come around him for a few days. But I continued to ride my bike around the block, and he eventually ran into me and stopped me to talk. We were on a dirt road that connected the main road, where my home was, to the poor part of the neighborhood, about 100 meters away from my house. I said I needed to go, but he stood in front of my bike, grabbing it and blocking my path. He asked to borrow my bike. I said I couldn't, but he insisted. I said no again and again, making excuses, but he wouldn't stop pleading, and he wouldn't let go of my bike. Then a spark of brilliance came to me. I said to him, "Okay, you can have it." Relieved, he let go of my bike and moved aside, expecting me to get off and hand it to him. Instead, I took advantage of the moment. He lowered his guard and pedaled away like there was no tomorrow. Maybe in my young and inexperienced mind, there really wasn't. He shouted at me and started running after me. But luckily he didn't go through with it and gave up moments later. I soon reached my house and, sadly, because of the rest of them, never hung out with those kids again, nor did I venture much into that part of the neighborhood for a couple of years.